So I have the Enfield broken down. We'll go ahead and take a closer look at all the parts. Starting with the buttstock, was able to get the butt plate off. Definitely has a lot of dirt and some corrosion in there. Buttstock is okay. It just has some issues here. You can see there's a stock repair done. There's a crack right here, and this hole right here is basically completely stripped out. So I have to put a hardwood dowel in there and re-drill that hole. But overall, the wood on it's pretty sound. You can see there's a lot of dirt underneath the butt plate. But it should clean up really nicely. The four stock parts are pretty good. The top handguard pieces here, just dirty, but look like they'll clean up really well. Looking at the receiver, it looks dirty, but the bluing looks pretty good on it. You can see here what could be the remnants of a little bit of the anti-rust paint that you saw on a lot of the rifles that were in the tropical theaters. See, just a lot of dirt. Looks like some bugs too. But overall, the bluing looks really nice on this. I don't really see much wear to the finish right here. Same with the nose cap. Bluing looks pretty good. Does look like a number 4 magazine. On a number 1, these screws right here go all the way to the bottom. They don't stop early, so not a huge deal, but wood looks pretty sound. A lot of times it's cracked here. Part of the reason is this doesn't have the cutout for the stock bolt. So no point to anyone try to take the buttstock off first. Looks dirty, but otherwise the stock looks really good. So I'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to start cleaning up all the parts, oiling them, and I'll do a video once it's all cleaned up. Got it cleaned up, broken down, so I'll go ahead and take a closer look at the parts. Starting with the receiver, good overall. Still has some of that green paint left. The green paint was used as a rust and corrosion prevention in tropical environments, so pretty common. This means this rifle could have seen action in Pacific. See a lot of the green paint in the parts. Band looks good. A lot of the bluing is in excellent shape. The finish is really nice on this one. There's the top handguard. Both the pieces for the top handguards came out really well. Looking at the stock bolt, it's kind of interesting. I haven't seen a stock bolt painted like this yet, but they did paint the stock bolt. Did seem to help. I mean, I don't really see a whole lot of rust or corrosion on this. There's your trigger guard. Now the 4 stock here, definitely soaking up a lot of linseed oil. It's pretty dry. You can see the inlay here is in pretty good shape. Some of the small parts, all the screws are pretty good. Some of them, got a little buggered up over the years, but they still came out okay. Now the magazine, the spring here actually broke at some point. You can see there was some repair that was done to it, so I'm gonna have to replace the magazine anyway, so it's not a big deal. And here's the nose cap. You can see they also put some green paint there as well. It's a lot more green paint on this Enfield than I've seen in other examples. Not sure when it was applied. It could have been applied, I mean, most likely when it was sent back to be re-arsenaled. Go ahead and take a look at the other side of the receiver for the marking. See the marking here? It's got the #1 Mark III star, an FR for a factory repair. It looks like the date is 46. So I'm not sure when this was originally produced, but 46 is when it was sent back for basically a factory repair, re-arsenal. Looking at the buttstock, you can see it's in pretty good shape overall. I mean, the finish is really nice on it. The wrist here is really nice, as well as the parts here that slot into the rifle. A lot of times you see a lot of chips or rot or something here. Butt plate looks good. And cleaning it out, had a lot of crud in there, so cleaned that out pretty well. Butt plate screws look pretty good. Still have some oil on them, but good threads. A quick update on the stock repairs. We got an oak dowel in this rear hole here for the sling swivel, and another oak dowel in the rear here for the butt plate screw. And I'm just going to let these sit and dry for about 2 days. I got them sitting in there with some epoxy, so after they're dry I'll drill these out and I will put the screws in there. You definitely want to use a good hardwood and a good epoxy, that way they bind. Especially since this is a load-bearing screw with the sling swivel, so go ahead and let this dry out and show you how it goes. You can see here these screws fit really well now. This is, pretty secure now. Basically what I did is I just drilled out that hole for the screw and the oak dowel, and now it's really well attached. Same with the butt plate screw here. It's threaded right into that oak dowel. So these screws should be good to go now. It's a pretty simple trick, just cutting down an oak dowel to size or any other hardwood and then re-drilling the hole. So I finished up the Enfield. Go ahead and take a closer look at it. Starting with the buttstock, you can see it's a lot cleaner now. Butt plate's firmly on there now after repairing that butt plate screw, as well as the screw for the rear sling swivel here. Also put some little bit of epoxy inside of this stock repair and then clamped it for a bit just to make sure that this is still really firmly on there. You can see where they plugged the hole for the stock disc. Receiver looks pretty good. The finish on it is actually really nice. It's not worn down like I've seen on a lot of other weapons from the Ethiopian cache. It's got a really strong serial number. Went ahead and swapped out the magazine with another magazine that I had. I mean, they're both #4 magazines, but I didn't want to. It has a matching part inside of it for the spring and everything, so I didn't want to break it up. So I just swapped magazines. The bolt functions really well. Nice and smooth. Did replace, it had like a Phillips screw in here. I replaced it with a flathead. Just so it's more correct part. Traveling down the rifle, you can see the wood looks pretty nice. It's really come out nicely, just from the linseed oil and cleaning it up. Band here has a lot of the finish left. Same with the nose cap. In pretty good shape. Flipping it over to the other side. So overall this side looks pretty good as well. We'll go ahead and take a closer look. Buttstock looks pretty good at this side too. You can see it looks like someone is writing here, carving something. Grains look really nice on the wood. Put a little bit of chalk on the marking here. You can see it's #1 Mark III star with FR 46. So it looks like a 1946 factory repair. So this is an interesting feature you see on a lot of the rifles coming out of India, was they added this screw here to help keep the stock from splitting. A lot of times you would see, and you can kind of see one here, a little, it's like a surface crack here. Luckily it doesn't go all the way through, it's just a surface crack, but the stock will start cracking here, and this helps reinforce the stock so you don't have a crack coming out. You can see that there's another screw here that they had actually plugged up, so they ended up replacing that screw. Not sure why they replaced it. Could be that it's just kind of on the checklist. A metal screw through wood does tend to corrode. Kind of make out a marking there. There's your rear sight. The only other marking I could find is the proof marking here, GRI. See the band here, looks pretty good. And then moving on to the nose cap, looks good as well. You don't see a lot of the wear that you see on these rifles. So overall pretty happy with this one. It's got a good bore, as you can see here. It also has a really good just overall finish, condition. Nice bolt. Parts are in good shape. So I'm pretty happy with it. Overall, I'd say this was a good buy. You know, it's a pretty good Enfield for $4.99, which is a pretty good rate for them based on how they're going on Gunbroker and other sites. So hope you enjoyed watching this video. I'll have another one out soon on the K98 and Carcano that arrived with this rifle. If you'd like to get notifications when I post those videos, feel free to subscribe. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to drop a like and a comment.